The Tale of the Lost Sock. Once upon a time, in a cozy little house, lived a kind and slightly forgetful man named Mr. Ted. He loved books, warm tea, and his collection of socks, especially a bright blue striped pair named Stripey and Spotty. Though he often wore mismatched socks, it wasn't by choice, he could never seem to find a complete pair. One sunny laundry day, Mr. Ted carefully sorted his socks. He held up Stripey and Spotty with a fond smile. "Ah, my favorites." He tossed them into the dryer and left to sip his tea. When Mr. Ted returned to the dryer after finishing his tea, he pulled out the clothes and began folding. Spotty tumbled out into the basket, but there was no sign of Stripey. "Where's the other one?" he muttered, peering behind the dryer. "Nothing." With a sigh, he shrugged. Socks vanish sometimes. He folded Spotty and tossed it into the drawer. Spotty, heartbroken, whispered, "Stripey, where are you?" Behind the dryer, Stripey trembled but mustered courage. "I'll find my way back to Spotty." Early the next morning, Max, Mr. Ted's playful golden-brown puppy, sniffed Stripey out. "A toy." Max barked, tugging Stripey out from behind the dryer with his teeth and racing outside. Stripey dangled helplessly as Max chewed, tugged, and shook it in circles. "This is not what socks are made for." Stripey groaned. Max eventually dragged Stripey into the garden and buried it under the mango tree. Days passed. Rain softened the soil, and a curious child digging in the garden uncovered Stripey. "A sock. Cool!" the child exclaimed. "I'll use it as a sandbag." Stripey endured wild swings, tosses, and a brief stint as a makeshift pillow. The once bright sock grew dull and frayed, but it held on to hope. "I'm not just a sock," Stripey whispered to itself. "I'm one half of a pair." The child soon lost interest and abandoned Stripey in a thorny bush. Rain poured again, washing Stripey into a muddy stream that carried it toward the house. Stripey washed up near Mr. Ted's porch, looking nothing like its former self. Max found the sock again, his tail wagging with excitement. He grabbed Stripey gently and carried it to the boots by the door, dropping it as if leaving a gift for his owner. The next morning, the door creaked open. Mr. Ted stepped out, stretching and yawning. His eyes fell on the tattered sock by his boots. "Stripey," he whispered, picking it up. "How on earth did you get here?" Mr. Ted carefully washed Stripey, stitched its fabric, and placed it back in the drawer beside Spotty. "I thought I'd lost you forever," Spotty exclaimed, wrapping Stripey in a warm hug. "I told you I'd find my way back," Stripey said, grinning through its faded stripes. That evening, Mr. Ted wore Stripey and Spotty together again. "Ah, nothing beats having the perfect pair," he said, wiggling his toes. In the drawer, the other socks watched in awe. "Stripey never gave up hope, even when the odds were against it," Spotty said. "That's what makes it special." Stripey added, "Life will test you, stretch you, and toss you around. But if you stay strong and hopeful, you'll always find your way home."